Hey guys, Lyra Linx here, and I'm back with another fanfiction reading video for Dance at Dusk. If you can't tell, then my room is a lot brighter than usual because now I actually have light bulbs up in my my tripod sort of thing for three of them. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm gonna dive right into chapter 3 and read the reviews like usual, so let's get into it. Dawn soon finished preparing the stew, the spelled wrong, scrumptious aroma making its way over to the dinner table where Reggie and Paul sat. Dawn smiled over at them as she picked up the pot off the burner and set it down on the counter. She grabbed some dishes and silverware and made a bowl for everyone. She then brought it over to the table, serving them politely as if she were a waitress. Paul liked that idea, the great Dawn Berlitz as a waitress, and she was serving him. Paul took a look down at the food. It looked weird and chunky and unappetizing. Smells good, but it looks like you lose the appeal round. Just as he was about to reach out for his bowl, Dawn stopped him in his tracks, whacking him with a wooden spoon she was holding. If you're going to criticize it, is that even right? Don't even eat it. She took away the bowl, pouring the extra stew into Reggie's bowl. Hey, I wasn't insulting your cooking. To do that, I'd have to be able to try it first. Dawn crossed her arms and turned away from him. Humph. Say you're sorry and I'll... Wrong one. Say you're sorry and I'll fix you another bowl. No way am I apologizing to you, you dramatic brat. Dawn spun around, clenching her fists. Excuse me? At least I'm not some cold, emotionless jerk. You know, I never liked you. Likewise. Reggie laughed awkwardly. Hey, you two. The amount of typos in this particular chapter are making me very upset with myself. Hey, you two, settle down. You might cause an avalanche with all that shouting. Both of them turned to Reggie, simultaneously screaming, Stay out of this! Dawn turned to Paul, fuming in anger. Quit copying me, Paul growled. You were the one copying me. Reggie uncomfortably ate his stew, staring over at the two as they bickered. You know what your problem is, Shinji? An annoying brunette who's always at my throat? Dawn ignored him. You just think you're too cool, but you aren't. I'm a lot better than you'll ever be. You don't know me. Yes, I do. You're a stuck-up, lousy, no-good, bratty, screeching rich girl. Tears began to well up in her eyes. If that's what you think, that proves you don't know me. No one spoke to Dawn after dinner. She curled herself up into a ball and hid under her blankets. She lay, completely covered, on the couch. Paul felt as if he had swallowed a frog. He could hear her crying, and it was his fault. Dawn hadn't poked out of her shell yet, and it was getting late. Eventually, Paul just took some aspirin and crawled into bed. He fell into a restless sleep, worried about Dawn. He was surprised when he awakened in the middle of the night, his door creaking open and letting in a dim stream of light. There was Dawn, trying to sneak in. Paul shot up out of bed, frightening Dawn. She yelped as she fell to the ground in surprise. He couldn't see very well, but he saw that there were still tears in her eyes. I didn't mean to wake you, apologized Dawn as she got back on her feet. What are you doing in my room? Paul tried not to yell. Dawn squirmed a bit, a blush beginning to form, tinting her cheeks a brilliant red. She opened her mouth to speak, but then shut it again. Finally, she found the right words. I was kind of cold, she said. So... She didn't finish the sentence. But Paul did. Did you want to crawl in bed with me? Dawn nodded slightly, her face turning an even brighter tomato red. Okay. She stood there in silence for a while before trying to change the subject. Well, Paul interrupted. If you were cold, you could have just gotten a spare blanket. Sorry. Paul sighed, staring at her puffy red eyes. He'd really made her cry that much? She looked like a different person. Where was that annoying smile she always gave him? Well, Paul cleared his throat. If you want, you can sleep in here. I mean, as an apology for the argument we had. Dawn laughed and wiped a tear from her eye. I wasn't arguing. I was simply explaining why I was right. Paul rolled his eyes and scooched over, making room for her to lay with him. He pulled up the covers and tucked her in with him. Paul started. I'm sorry. for everything that happened today. But why were you crying so much? Because, answered Dawn, not wanting to say any more. Because why? Paul pressed on. I'm not just some spoiled rich girl. Everything I've earned was from my own work. I left the Berlitz mansion 2 years ago. To be honest, I like this life of adventure and fun a lot more. Paul could empathize. He wouldn't want to be locked around in some giant house with nothing to do. Even though he was mean to his Pokemon at times, he still couldn't imagine a life without them battling by his side. Paul? Dawn whispered, looking exhausted. Yeah? Do you really hate me? Paul turned to her, noticing tears falling down her cheeks again. He wiped some away as he answered, No. I just don't think I know you very well yet. Dawn smiled a bit at his answer, and laid her head down on his chest. Paul flinched a bit, but let her lay on him, not wanting to upset her any more tonight. Night, Paul. See you in the morning, troublesome. You're the troublesome one. Before Paul could utter another word, Dawn had fallen asleep, breathing lightly and drooling a little. Paul smiled a little, pushing her blue hair out of her face. She looks like an angel, thought Paul, but he soon dismissed the thought. They both fell asleep together that night, not realizing that in their sleep they hugged each other. This was just one day of many to come. Okay, so it's really weird for me to read this again. I kind of forget how things go, but it seems like I mixed a couple details from the Pokemon anime versus the Pokemon manga with like Dawn and Platinum, so I mean, it's not exactly perfect. Alright, checking out the reviews for Chapter 3. Master XD. First it was funny, then it was sad, and it ended sweetly and romantic. Yeah, this was awesome. Can't believe what I was missing while I was gone. Alright. Radicator? I don't know how to say that. This chapter seemed a bit rushed. Yeah, I just can't see Dawn wanting to take such a huge step, sleeping with Paul, so quickly. I think you should have waited a couple days more. But it's your story, and I don't know what you have planned, so carry on as you will. Yeah, it was kind of, pretty fast-paced, I can admit that. This chapter reminded me a bit of my story from Pokemon. It's probably just a coincidence, but I must say you did better. You probably did yours better than I did. It seemed more fluid. Sometimes you make some spelling errors. I know, it's so annoying. But a quick glance at the story before you post it should be enough for you to catch them. I used to really hate doing proofreading, so I didn't really go through any of my old stories, so there are tons of typos. But yeah, I don't know what story of theirs they're talking about. I don't believe I've read any by that particular author, so like they said, it's probably just a coincidence, but cool. Monday the Trainer. Can't wait till they start sucking faces. Me Yeah, me too. That'll be a fun chapter to read. Red Hood Lover. That was so cute and cool. Excellent job. And then Eevee X Me. So kawaii at the end. Paul is such a meanie for saying that to Dawn. Alright, so it was generally liked. That's always nice to look back and see that people were into it. So yeah, that was the 3rd chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more content, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Bye.